This begins the final quarter of this class, the one which focuses on the functions and dysfunctions of sleeping and dreaming. In this lecture, we will explore functions of sleeping. In the next, functions of dreaming. And in the last, sleep and dreaming dysfunctions or disorders. So think about this. When we are sleeping, we are not being productive in evolutionary terms. We're not hunting or gathering. We are not otherwise working for these resources or mating. Evolutionarily thinking, there must be a significant function or functions of sleeping, or we would spend that time in a more productive way. Furthermore, if there were not a function of sleep, you would think three things, okay? Number one, some animals would not sleep. However, there is no evidence for this, except perhaps those with a brain too simple for us to study. Number two, there would be no recovery of lost sleep. However, sleep deprivation leads to sleep rebound. And number three, there would be no serious consequences of losing sleep. However, numerous harmful consequences have been documented. So in this lecture, we will explore functions of sleeping, saving functions of dreaming for our next lecture. So that means we will be focusing on non-REM sleep, right? Research exploring sleep functions can be placed into four broad categories. We will begin by presenting each along with its weaknesses. So number one, descriptive studies. This research is largely conducted through the use of observational or survey methods. It certainly has pointed to possible functions, but there could be other explanations. For instance, we observe that eyes are closed during sleep, but it is not necessarily because a function of sleeping is to protect the eyes. It could be the simple fact that eye closure facilitates sleep. Number two, correlational studies. Say a researcher has a theory that sleep releases a particular chemical in the body that is conducive to survival. If he or she found that sleep and this chemical were positively correlated, that would suggest that the releasing of this chemical could be a function, but it would not prove this because other explanations exist. Remember, correlation does not imply what? Hopefully you remembered that, causation, right? For instance, sleep and the chemical may not be linked directly at all, but instead indirectly through a third variable. Number three, stimulation experiments. Say we find a pharmaceutical that stimulates sleep. It can show brain mechanisms through which the brain stimulates sleep, but not necessarily the function. The weakness of this method is that it does not evidence function on its own. But the knowledge obtained from theories here can lead to theories in other kinds of studies that do. And number four, deprivation studies. These studies can reveal the consequences of going without sleep. And this sounds pretty convincing, right? But wait, the consequences could be the effects of how participants are kept awake. For instance, one way is forcing exercise. Although there's not one perfect way to study the fascinating question of why we sleep, we are going to look at evidence for functions that impressively converge over these studies using these different methodologies and strategies.